Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're putting on our tech historian hats to trace the truly epic evolution of artificial intelligence. We're going on a wild journey from cold, hard calculation to advanced systems that can actually mimic human intuition. If you've ever wondered how we got from a chunky computer just playing a board game to the massive AI boom we're living through right now, well, this is the story that explains it all. Let's dive right into the absolute media frenzy of 1997. It was a moment that completely shattered the illusion of human cognitive supremacy. For decades, researchers genuinely believed that if a machine could conquer our most complex games, it would prove that artificial intelligence had finally, truly arrived. Section 1. The ultimate intellectual battle. So, we begin our historical narrative on the 64 squares of a chessboard. This wasn't just a game, right? It was the ultimate battlefield. On one side, you had the reigning human world chess champion. On the other, a towering, custom-built IBM supercomputer. What's just fascinating here is the rapid, year-over-year progression IBM made. Back in 1996 in Philadelphia, world champion Garry Kasparov comfortably defeated the computer, known as Deep Blue, 4-2. It really seemed humanity was safe. But IBM's engineers went straight back to their labs, tweaked the hardware, and just one single year later in New York City, they flipped a definitive loss into a world-shaking victory. Deep Blue won, 3.5-2.5. That 1997 rematch marked the very first defeat of a reigning world chess champion by a computer under strict tournament conditions. Deep Blue wasn't just a piece of hardware anymore. It became an overnight celebrity. The machine literally secured a $700,000 prize for the IBM team and kicked off this massive, globe-spanning public debate about the future of thinking machines. People were seriously asking, is this the end of human genius? Section 2. Anatomy of brute force. But what was the actual engine driving this giant metal box to beat a human genius like Kasparov? Well, Deep Blue essentially operated like a bulldozer, utilizing what's called brute force search. It wasn't thinking or feeling the game. Instead, it was evaluating millions of positions per second using symbolic, sheer computational force. It relied on special-purpose hardware engineered specifically for chess, just rapidly crunching through a massive tree of possible future moves to pick the mathematically safest path. It was basically a giant high-speed calculator, not a digital brain. Section 3. A champion's introspection. Naturally, losing to a giant calculator provoked an intense emotional response from Kasparov. He was initially furious, famously even suggesting the machine might have had human intervention. But, this sparked a profound intellectual journey for him. By 2016, his emotional state had entirely shifted. Moving from feeling initially stunned and suspicious, he realized he was just part of a historic technological milestone. He gained immense respect for the Deep Blue team, while also recognizing that he played uncharacteristically poorly in that final game. Plus, he acknowledged that modern algorithms running on a standard smartphone can now easily surpass the brute force methods Deep Blue used back then. Despite IBM's historic victory, though, the brute force bulldozer method couldn't conquer everything. It definitely had a hard limit. So the ancient Chinese game of Go became the new holy grail for AI researchers. Go has simple rules, but far more possible board positions than there are atoms in the observable universe. Let that sink in. It requires deep aesthetic human intuition. Brute force calculation completely falls apart here because there are just way too many possibilities to crunch. It required a totally different kind of intelligence. Section 4. The neural network paradigm. Let's move into the massive paradigm shift of the 2010s. This is where engineers stopped manually programming specific human moves and started letting machines teach themselves. The AI boom was essentially created by a perfect storm. The introduction of GPUs for deep learning around 2009, colossal data volumes like the ImageNet dataset, and huge algorithmic innovations. It was this exact cohesive alignment of computation, data, and algorithms that set the stage for Google DeepMind to create a system called AlphaGo in 2016. The contrast between these two machines is essentially the classic engine versus brain metaphor. Deep Blue calculated through raw, exhaust-heavy force, using symbolic AI and human-fed rules. AlphaGo, on the other hand, represented connectionist AI. It learned through intuition, simulation, and modern neural networks. AlphaGo avoided the brute force limitations of Deep Blue by actually developing a form of artificial intuition to navigate the vast, vast possibilities of Go.
AlphaGo's secret sauce was this brilliant multi-layered architecture. It used a Monte Carlo tree search to efficiently look ahead at potential future moves, but paired it with convolutional neural networks, or CNNs, which effectively looked at the board just like an image. A policy network decided, hey, which move should I make? And a value network decided, what is my probability of winning from here? But here's the real kicker. It didn't just rely on human expert data. It generated virtually limitless training data by playing millions of games against itself.
Section 5. Beyond Human Intuition.
This capability to generate synthetic data internally was an absolute game changer. The environment served as both the model and the data engine, which shifted AI entirely from specialized game players to generalized intelligence agents. Taking it a step further, researchers introduced AlphaGo Zero, which removed the human element entirely. It didn't study a single human game of Go. Not one. It learned purely through sheer self-play, from random rule movements to absolute mastery. The result? AlphaGo Zero absolutely crushed the previous version of AlphaGo, the very same version that had shocked the human Go champion just a year earlier. It won 100 games to 0, entirely bypassing thousands of years of human historical intuition.
Now remember chess? Astonishingly, DeepMind created a sister program called AlphaZero. Using this exact same reinforcement neural network architecture, AlphaZero mastered the game of chess from absolute scratch in just 4 hours. Literally, 4 hours. In that incredibly short time, it learned enough to defeat Stockfish 8, which was the world's absolute best brute force chess engine. The bulldozer was finally beaten by the digital brain.
So I want to leave you with this thought to take away from our explainer today. We've traced the history from IBM's brute force Deep Blue to the self-taught neural networks of AlphaGo. If the machine no longer needs our past knowledge to build its future intelligence, where does that leave human intuition in the years to come? It's a fascinating, maybe slightly terrifying question as we move further into this new era of AI. Thanks so much for exploring this incredible timeline with me.